Let me ask you something. You spent weeks nursing those tomato seedlings. You hardened them off. You transplanted them carefully. You watered them. You staked them. You talked to them, don't lie, most of us do. And they took off beautifully. Green, strong, full of life. And then summer arrived. And now you're standing in your garden looking at cracked fruit. Yellowing leaves, blossoms dropping before they've had a chance. Plants that look like they gave up halfway through their own life. What happened? Here is what happened. Everyone talks about how to start tomatoes. The transplanting videos, the seed starting guides, they are everywhere. And that part is easy. Spring is gentle. The soil is cool, the rain is kind. And the bugs are still asleep. But nobody talks about the middle. Nobody talks about what happens when summer turns brutal. And your tomatoes are on their own. This is the moment that separates a bumper harvest from a failed season. This is the video that nobody else is making. Over the last 20 years of growing tomatoes, through scorching summers, through pest explosions, through every mistake a gardener can make, I have learned exactly what it takes to carry a tomato plant. From spring transplant all the way to fall frost. With a harvest that will make your neighbors ask what your secret is. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is going to change how you grow tomatoes forever. Early CTA. Before we dive in, if you grow tomatoes and you want a garden that actually produces, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell right now. Every week I put out real, tested, no-nonsense gardening content. Made by a real human being who grows real food. Tap like if you're ready, and let's get into it. Step 1. Mulch your tomatoes, now, not later. When you first transplant your tomatoes in early spring, mulching is actually the wrong move. The soil is cold. The air is cold. You want that dark bare earth soaking up every ray of sun. Warming up fast, giving those young roots a reason to grow. Put mulch down too early and you are literally insulating the cold in. That works against you. So you wait. But the moment temperatures start climbing, and I mean the moment, that equation flips completely. Now your tomatoes are large. They are thirsty. They are fruiting. And without mulch, the moisture in your soil is evaporating faster than your roots can chase it. Every dry spell means one thing for a tomato plant. Blossom end rot. Here is what blossom end rot really is, and most gardeners get this wrong. It is not a calcium deficiency in your soil. It is a calcium uptake failure caused by inconsistent watering. When the soil dries out and then gets drenched and then dries out again, the plant cannot transport calcium to the developing fruit fast enough. The blossom end turns black and collapses. All that fruit, wasted. A 2-inch layer of mulch is the single simplest fix. It keeps the soil evenly moist. It moderates temperature. It suppresses weeds. And as it breaks down, it feeds your soil. Now, what mulch should you use? Wheat straw is my personal favorite, especially straw that has already been sitting outside for a month or two and started to break down. Why pre-aged straw? Because fresh bales carry weed seeds. Let the bale sit, let those seeds die off, and then mulch with confidence. Cedar mulch, cypress mulch, shredded hardwood bark, pine straw, pine bark nuggets. All of them work beautifully. The rule is simple. Natural only. What you must never use is rubber mulch or dyed wood mulch. Rubber mulch is shredded tires. Do you want the chemicals from old tires leaching into the soil that grows your food? I don't. Dyed mulch is often ground up construction lumber, old pallets, scrap plywood. Stained to look like a real wood product. It is not. Keep it out of your food garden. Step 2. Put your tomatoes on a fertilizer schedule. This is where more gardens fail than anywhere else. When you transplanted your tomatoes, you probably added fertilizer to the planting hole. Or fed them with a starter solution. Great. That was the right call. But here is the problem, that fertilizer is gone now. By midsummer, it has been consumed, washed through, or broken down. And your tomato plants, loaded with developing fruit, pushing out new growth, running every biological process at full speed, are running on empty. A hungry tomato plant is a vulnerable tomato plant. It stops blooming well. It struggles to ripen what it already has. And here is something most gardeners don't realize. Stressed, underfed plants send out chemical signals that insects can detect. Pest pressure is not random. Pests target the weakest plants first. Keep your tomatoes well fed and you will have dramatically fewer pest problems. I know that sounds counterintuitive. But I have seen it proven year after year in my own garden. My fertilizer routine is simple. Every 2 weeks, twice a month. I split that between a granular organic and a water-soluble application. For the granular mix, I combine 3 to 4 parts all-purpose organic fertilizer with 1 to 2 parts bone meal, plus optional trace mineral supplements like azomite and crab and lobster shell meal. Each plant gets roughly 2 tablespoons worked into the soil at the root zone. This goes for tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, all your heavy feeders. Then I water everything in with a liquid blend of fish emulsion and a balanced water-soluble fertilizer. The liquid serves 2 purposes. It starts activating the granular organics. And it gives the plants an immediately available nutrient boost. I know some gardeners hesitate over the cost. Here is the honest math, a few dollars in fertilizer produces $10, $20, sometimes $50 worth of additional tomatoes. If you eat what you grow, the return on investment is extraordinary. And if you don't eat what you grow, well, that is a different problem. Now, here is something that will genuinely surprise you. Everything you have ever been told about growing tomatoes in full sun may be completely wrong. And the proof is written right there on the leaves of your plant. Every single time they curl up in the afternoon heat. Stay with me, because this changes everything. Step 3, install shade cloth, yes, over your tomatoes. Every plant tag, every beginner guide, every nursery staffer will tell you. Tomatoes need full sun. And they are not entirely wrong, but they are missing an enormous piece of the story. Tomatoes are not native to sunny American fields. They evolved as understory vines in the forests of Central and South America, threading their way along forest floors and climbing tree trunks, under the dappled, filtered light of a forest canopy. They were never designed to sit in unbroken, blazing full sun. So why does every gardening resource say full sun? Because when the tomato was brought north and bred into the large, sweet varieties we know today, it was cultivated in cities like Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago. Short-season climates with cool, moderate summers. In those conditions, maximum sun exposure was necessary just to get a harvest before the first frost arrived. The problem is that advice never got updated. And now millions of gardeners in the South, the Southwest, the Plains, and the desert are following growing instructions written for northeastern summers, while their plants are being destroyed by a completely different sun. Your tomato plant tells you this directly. Have you ever seen your tomato leaves curl up in the afternoon? That is not a random response. That is a defense mechanism. Tomato leaves are essentially solar panels, designed to capture light and convert it into energy through photosynthesis. But when the light is too intense, the plant rolls its leaves inward, like a taco shell, to reduce surface area and cut down on the solar energy it absorbs. Your tomato plant is literally shielding itself from too much sun. The fix is a 40% shade cloth, installed above your plants. From early June through mid-August, peak UV season. This mimics the dappled canopy of their native environment. Since I started doing this, the results have been remarkable. Leaf curl disappeared almost entirely. Pollination rates improved, because the cooler air beneath the shade cloth means flowers are not being heat-stressed when pollen needs to transfer. Irrigation needs dropped because evaporation slowed. And pest pressure decreased because the plants were no longer stressed. A quick note on pollination: tomatoes are actually wind-pollinated, not bee-pollinated. A gentle breeze shaking the flowers is all they need. A shade cloth does not interfere with that at all. If you are not able to install a full shade structure right now, even moving containers to receive afternoon shade from a fence or wall during peak summer hours will make a measurable difference. Step 4. Harvest your tomatoes at 40 to 50% ripeness. This one is going to feel wrong when I first say it. But stay with me, because once you understand the science, you will never leave a tomato on the vine past half color again. Tomatoes pass through 4 distinct stages of development: immature green, mature green, breaker stage, and ripe. Most gardeners wait until full ripeness to pick, and in doing so, they lose a significant portion of their harvest every single year. Here is the biology: at approximately 40 to 50% color change, what horticulturalists call the breaker stage, the tomato physically seals itself off from the plant. The vascular connection between the fruit and the vine becomes occluded. The tomato is no longer receiving sugars, water, or nutrients from the plant. It is on its own from that point forward. You can feel this. Pick up a breaker stage tomato and give it a gentle tug. It comes free with almost no resistance because the connection is already broken. Try that with a green tomato. It holds tight because it is still fully connected. So what do you gain by leaving it on the vine past 50%? Absolutely nothing from the plant. But here is what you risk: cracking from rain, attack by stink bugs, leaf-footed bugs, hornworm caterpillars, and birds. The more color that develops, the more attention it attracts. Pick at 40 to 50% color, bring the tomatoes inside, and set them stem side down on your countertop at room temperature. They will ripen fully, with complete flavor, in just a few days. Keep them out of the refrigerator. Cold destroys the cellular structure and the flavor. By harvesting at breaker stage, you effectively double your usable harvest. Because far fewer tomatoes are lost to cracking, pests, and over-ripening on the vine. Here is the most counterintuitive gardening advice I can give you. And it goes against almost everything you have ever read online. Step 6 is going to ask you to put down your pruning shears and step away from your tomatoes completely. Because the most popular piece of tomato advice on the internet might be the single biggest reason your plants keep getting sick. Step 5. Remove any plant that is wilting and not recovering. This one is painful, but it is necessary. If you walk out to your garden and find a tomato plant that is wilting, and giving it a thorough watering does nothing to bring it back, you are looking at a wilt disease. It could be fusarium wilt. It could be bacterial wilt. Either way, it is a soil-borne pathogen, and it spreads. I know it is hard to pull a plant you have tended for months. But if you leave it, you are gambling with every other tomato in your garden. These diseases travel through shared soil and root contact. The longer an infected plant stays in the ground, the more the pathogen multiplies and spreads to your healthy plants. If you have had recurring wilt disease in your in-ground beds, consider growing your indeterminate varieties in grow bags next season. Grow bags give you full control over the soil environment per plant. One infected bag can be removed without contaminating your entire bed. It has transformed how I manage my tomatoes and drastically reduced my losses. Pick what ripe fruit you can from the sick plant before you pull it. Then remove it, roots and all, and dispose of it. Do not compost it. Do not leave it in the garden. Bag it and remove it from the property entirely. Step 6. Stop pruning your tomatoes. I told you this one was going to feel wrong. The internet will tell you that tomatoes need regular pruning for better airflow. That removing suckers leads to bigger fruit. That cutting off lower leaves prevents disease from splashing up from the soil. I am here to tell you that this advice, while well-intentioned, creates far more problems than it solves. Let me take you back to what we established about tomato biology. These are understory vines. They adapted to grow in virtually still, sheltered, windless forest environments. The idea that they need aggressive pruning for airflow is completely at odds with their entire evolutionary history. But more importantly, every cut you make is a wound. And every wound is an open door for pathogens. Fungal spores, bacterial infections, viral agents, they all enter through damaged tissue. When you prune a tomato, you stress the plant and create entry points for disease. And here is how the trap closes. The disease that gets in through those wounds looks like more reason to prune. So you prune again. More wounds. More disease. More pruning. It is a cycle that feeds itself, and your tomatoes pay the price. My unpruned indeterminate tomatoes, 8-9 feet tall at peak season, are virtually disease-free going into the end of summer. On the humid coast of North Carolina, one of the most challenging tomato growing environments in the country. Not because I found some miracle spray. Because I stopped cutting into them. The plants I did have to prune, for practical reasons, because they outgrew their space, are showing disease on every pruned branch. The contrast could not be clearer. Leave your tomatoes to grow. Give them room to sprawl and branch. The energy a plant would spend recovering from pruning cuts goes instead into fruit production. The only pruning I endorse is the absolute minimum, removing dead or dying material. That has already separated naturally from the plant, leaving no open wound. Here is an honest truth about summer gardening. The hotter it gets, the less we want to be outside. And the less we want to be outside, the more we skip waterings. And the more we skip waterings, the more our plants decline. Drip irrigation solves this completely. A basic drip system takes about 20 minutes to set up for a single bed. It delivers water directly to the root zone, slowly and consistently. Right where the plants need it most. It eliminates the wet-dry cycle that causes blossom end rot. It reduces the time you spend holding a hose in the blazing sun. And combined with a simple timer, it keeps your garden thriving. Even when life gets busy and the garden gets pushed down the priority list. If you have the budget for one garden upgrade this season, make it drip irrigation. You will save more than its cost in water, time, and harvest losses within a single season. Here is what I want you to take away from today. Growing tomatoes is not complicated. But it does require attention at the right moments. And summer is the most critical moment of all. Mulch when temperatures rise. Feed on a consistent schedule. Shade your plants during peak UV. Harvest at the breaker stage. Remove sick plants immediately. And put down the pruning shears. You do not have to implement every single one of these steps tomorrow. Pick the 2 or 3 that feel most manageable and start there. Gardening is a long game. Small improvements compound over seasons into a garden that consistently outperforms what you thought was possible. This is supposed to be rewarding. It is supposed to bring you joy. So take what resonates, apply what you can, and trust the process. Because the harvest you want is still ahead of you, and now you know how to get there. If this video helped you, if one thing I said today is going to save your tomato season, please hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds. And it puts this video in front of other gardeners who need to see it. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Every week I publish real, in-depth, long-form gardening content. Made by a real human who actually grows this food. No AI scripts. No stock footage. No shortcuts. Just honest, tested information from someone who has made every mistake. So you don't have to. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these steps are you implementing this week? I read every single comment and I will reply. Your garden victories are my victories too. Ring the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Now get out there and grow something.